I'm going to call this meeting to order, and we'll do a roll call of our voting members. So, Damon Jesperson.
Cindy Courier.
Kathy Zareba.
John Farrar.
And then if everyone else could introduce yourself going around, I'm going to start with you.
Yep, Maria Casey.
Krista Gross, Planning Director for Newbury.
Eric Spahn.
Bob Connors.
Wilma Cunningham.
Jane Cunningham.
Thank you all for joining us today. We'll approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting. So if I could have a motion for that.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, I believe most of you have gotten the matrix, and so what I want to do is talk about what I imagine our next steps to be. So we have the things we're going to look at for valuing a site and how to differentiate, and we have those going 1 through 9. You know, is the building size big enough? Or could it have a building the size that we want? Does it have enough parking? Does it have outdoor spaces? What is the street access like? Does it have utilities? Is it easy to find? You know, some people complain about not being able to get to 12 Kent Way because it's off the beaten path. Does it have the option for sewer or septic? Does it have proximity to the other town functions and needs? And the cost. So those are the things that we have identified as being distinctly important in a site. I'm going to open it to the members first to say if there's anything that you guys want to add or change in how we put the matrix together. And since we have a lot of guests, is there any comment from anyone else attending about the matrix or what is on it?
I think it's well done. I think you've covered all the bullet points, and it's a good starting point to look at a project. You know, site selection obviously becomes the most important, and then looking at it. Newbury has a habit of operating in a silo. We always look at a fire station independently, a town hall independently, council on aging independently, the library independently. So I think you've done a great job of laying out the basics. What would be the ask for a council on aging project? Now the location, and you've covered it, can you piggyback this with an existing facility, which is always optimum? Or you have a town hall need. I guess there's questions on the condition of the fire station on Morgan Ave, and then you have COA needs. So we look at it a little more globally across the town and say, if in fact we need a fire station, and I'm not saying that, you know, I'm in agreement with that one way or the other. I haven't looked at it. You cannot renovate a fire station and still operate out of it. And I would think that moving the fire station or considering relocating the fire station to somewhere on Route 1 at the Hanover Route 1 intersection doesn't change the response time to Plum Island, and it actually probably improves the response time to other parts of the town. That being said, that then frees up the fire station site in the old town hall site, where you could look at a combined town hall COA, which has a lot of benefits. Shared meeting rooms, shared stairways, elevators. You have great utilization where you can, your 10,000 square feet, when you take out everything you need for a building, and you can share space, it could be 6,000 square feet. You know, town hall's 10,000 square feet. Does an additional 6,000 square feet cover your actual operational needs? Because your bathroom facilities, your meeting rooms, and all your infrastructure and MEP and HVAC is already
Shared.
covered in the, rather than independently having a new elevator at a COA, a new elevator at the fire station, a new elevator at potential town hall. But I think you've established the need in the ask for size. And so the next step is, and you've already looked at all the sites, which it just brings back memories when we were looking at a town hall. You look at everything you already own.
Yep.
Well, what can you piggyback off of it? And then ultimately, do you want to put a critical facility in a location that doesn't have both municipal water or municipal sewer? You can, a fire station of all things is probably the one where municipal water is you know, certainly required. But at such a low occupancy where you only have 2 or 3 people in the building during the course of the day, it would be, of all the lesser evils, that would be the one where you could have a septic system and it wouldn't be. I mean, I'm just
Wouldn't be a problem, yeah.
sharing my, you know, my humble thoughts, and, but I defer to our resident expert in all this stuff, Eric.
I don't know how I stepped in it so many years ago, but it is bringing back memories, and a lot of what Bob said is what I was going to say in terms of the process. Last time was everybody had a horse that was running a different race in a different direction, and it was hard to corral everyone back, and even through the presentation, which I think we had a great presentation on that October 30th at the library, in which we had the planning board, we had the select board, and we had myself with the public safety site selection committee all in the room, and it seemed like people that weren't agreeing or talking to each other were having some common path forward, and then it still fell apart from there. So doing your homework and proving your point, I think, is a necessary part for making the pitch and thinking about what the next step is. And certainly can add experiences such as Bob's to add color or the bigger picture thought. A combined facility is more money, and so hence that is a harder sell for some, but there is great economy. I don't think people were listening last time. Operational costs also get added to the savings. And I was thinking of this list of something that was like a 1B of existing or new in terms of putting some weight to that. And that sort of comes in the building size and also comes in the cost. And then other things would be, and you have it under 8, probably proximity to other functions would be synergies. Like what are the greatest positives about the site? And then if there's some way that the other part of this about choosing by advantage is that somehow several of these might get weighted above the others.
Well, that is the next thing that I wanted to talk about was weighting. So the way that I wanted to score these things is to use a 1 through 7 scale, because I think that is the most clear, because it's not so big that you don't know where you're going to fall on anything, but it's not so tight that everything ends up scoring the same way. So what I was going to ask the members to do after this meeting is give each of the locations that we have been presented with and asked to look at a score, 7 being the best, 1 being the worst. But what I want to discuss now is if there's a multiple for any of the items, you know, is having a big enough lot the most important thing, and so it gets a multiple of 1.5. So if it's a big lot, it gets in its final score, if you gave it a 7, it would get a 10.5. And you know, I have a hard time breaking them out as far as what the most important things are. There are some things that if they don't have it, you know, if it's not big enough and it doesn't have any parking, it probably won't work as a site, you know. But I don't think those I'm not sure what the multiples need, and so I was hoping to get more of that from Cindy and Kathy, because you guys are the people who are working day to day in the building and working with the people. So, you know, what is the most important things, and or to you the least important things? You know, is being able to see it from the street not that important, because eventually everyone who comes here a lot and don't know where it is.
And to me, you can put a sign at the end of the street, right? So that's not, to me, building size, case in point is today. We were just scrambling because we have constituent services who wanted private space to meet. I have someone in the consult room. We have a hearing clinic going on in another room. We had these meetings going on in this room. We are crunched for space. We can't put any more than 2 programs on at a time. And when that happens, the program in here has to be small. Our knitting group has already grown out of this room. Our mahjong group has grown out of this room. Drawing and watercolor classes used to fit in here, but that seems to have exploded right now in terms of instructors not being available. So it's difficult for us to schedule programs in the limited space that we have. It is a zillion times better than where we were. In the school, we had one little tiny room. We could put on 1 program, and it had to be small. As it is, I also have a stretch class on Mondays at the field house. I have Tai Chi at the field house. We have yoga at the field house. We also have yoga at the library. We're all over the place instead of in our own house because we can't fit everything. So to me, I would say building size is top. That's also why I put it at the top of my matrix that I made. Because to me, without having the space, it's great to have a zillion parking spots, but if you don't have the building to house the programs, why do you need all that parking? However, if you have a good sized building, you need the parking. There's a lot of, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I agree. The size of the space is key for us. Because that has a lot to do with what we can plan and what we cannot plan. So for us, I think it's huge. Huge.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
When you moved from your place on Hanover Street to here, what was the increase in traffic every day coming in? Obviously, it's just judging by when I come over here for other things.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty much full.
It is way bigger. I do think being connected to town hall has helped
It
us.
does help,
It
yeah.
has, it's brought people in that maybe.
But is it
otherwise
a
wouldn't have.
50% increase in
At least, it's
activities,
probably more.
like attendance?
I think way more.
Yeah.
Over there, people didn't even want to drive there. The parking was really atrocious.
Yeah,
But the
right.
size of the room, that room included our offices and everything.
Yeah.
So we really didn't have any place to do much. I mean, we maybe did a bingo.
10 people.
So the more programs you can put on, you're gonna have more attendance, because everyone's attracted to a
Right.
certain,
Right.
man, I'm not going to the knitting crochet class
No.
Okay.
with Eric, but the cribbage shirt might be.
Right?
Yeah.
It's above your pay grade.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's,
But there's a lot of people, so we do pickleball at the basketball courts outside. That draws a ton of people in the summer.
Yeah.
They do nothing here. They don't do anything else here.
so you need a pickleball for it.
That would be
Part of
great.
the outdoor space would be nice. But
It'd be fantastic, but.
there are things that we offer that certain people come to that other people wouldn't dream of coming to. But the more space we have, the more things we can offer, the more educational programs. It would be nice to be able to have the knitting group and something else, 2 or 3 things going on at the same time, so that there's choices for people in town.
Does size and proximity make this a harder sell, a harder design? I mean, you think about it, if you want size and proximity to, I mean, you just spoke that the enhanced number of visitors, as people come in to meet with Gretchen or Diane, they
Pop
stop in. And that proximity aspect in a larger space, proximity might cost you size.
It might.
Yeah, well, that was going to be actually my next question, because we talked extensively in building out the needs list about sharing proximity and how important that was. So in thinking about it, would you weight size over proximity? Would you weight them the same? Do they,
I would weight size over proximity.
okay,
I would weight them the same.
weight them the same?
Because if we have the size and we're not near anything, And a lot of people are coming up and down, you know, here they go to the town hall and they're like, oh, what's in there? Let me go and see this, let me go see the COA. I don't know, I think they're both important. It
My-
also brings in younger people too.
That's
like,
true, that's
They
true.
go into town hall to pay their taxes, they're gonna go, you know, do this, they're like, oh, doesn't look so bad in there, I'll go in.
Yeah. But my thing is, I feel like we've done a lot of work to build the program and the name for who we are and what we do, and we're not just food stamps and bingo, that more people tend to come to programs that we offer. So I feel like we've made a name for ourselves, that maybe
The
the proximity doesn't matter as, it matters. It matters. I don't think us in a standalone building somewhere by ourselves is good, but I don't think it matters as much as having the space to put on the program.
Cindy, when people come, we have a program that you can work at town hall if you're over a certain age.
Senior property tax.
Yeah, and what's the matrix on that? Is it $10 an hour to 100 hours or?
I believe its minimum wage is $15 an hour, and right now it's $133 1/3 hours, so you get a $2,000 tax abatement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's off your, is that a tax credit off your bill or?
Mhm.
Oh, that's huge.
Mhm.
So
If you
when
do the
when
full
we're on the
100.
Conservation Commission and the ZBA, we could be applying that towards our.
I don't know if boards actually counts for that. I don't think your board time counts for that, but
Do you get a lot of that though?
I have, I think right now, 14.
So you have someone that come here and they may play bingo or cribbage during the day and then go upstairs for a couple hours and knock off a couple hours. of-
So I have the person who's in our consult room right now. Every program that we have, we take attendance. That has to be inputted into a database system. He is a property tax volunteer. Right now, he's inputting all of my attendance sheets into the database program so that I have numbers. I have to provide reports to, say, the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, things like that. People ask for numbers. We have to have, I keep track of that. So he's doing that right now. He doesn't come to any other programs, but he's interested in the property tax. I have people who are receptionists at the front desk. They attend programs, but they'll also be the receptionist at the front desk for several hours a week. That comes up, they build that off of